Hi everyone, this video assumes that you've watched the flip video, the Unit 10 Day 1 flip video. This is going to cover what we've done in class, what we did in class. We're going to be multiplying polynomials, and we will be factoring simple polynomials. Okay, when we're multiplying polynomials, we're basically using the distributive property in a cool, funky way. So I've got a term x plus 5 times x plus 7. So I'm now going to take each term of this polynomial and I'm going to multiply this polynomial by it. So here we go. Let me show you what we're going to do. I'm going to take x. I'm going to multiply everything in this binomial by x. And then I'm going to add to it 5 times that whole binomial. So let's see what that looks like. First thing is to multiply x. So I have x times x plus 7 plus 5 times x plus 7. Take a second and look at that. This we can handle. So x times x plus 7, remember I multiply each term, is x squared plus 7x plus 5x plus 35. Now I can simplify this by combining my like terms here. And so I'll end up with x squared plus 12x plus 35. I use the distributive property to multiply something that looked pretty complicated to begin with. In this case, I'm going to have x times this whole binomial minus 5 times this whole binomial. See what that looks like. X times x plus 7 minus 5 times x plus 7. Some of you might like to leave chain change that. That's perfectly fine. Could have leave chain changed it in the step before. This step, it doesn't matter. You get the same result. So this will be x squared plus 7x plus negative 5x plus negative 35. Do you see like terms to combine? Let's simplify. Get x squared plus 2x plus negative 35. Or some of you might like to write that as x squared plus 2x minus 35. Same thing. Let's move on. Let's multiply these polynomials. Okay, I'm going to have x times this whole binomial minus 5 times this whole binomial. See what that looks like. X times x minus 7 minus 5 times x minus 7. Let's simplify by distributing correctly, please. We get x squared minus 7x plus negative 5x. I'm going to leave chain change that to make it easier for you. Negative 5 times negative 7 is positive 35. You can leave chain change that too if that helps you to simplify. So I see that I have two x terms that I can combine. So I end up with x squared plus negative 12x plus 35. And we can work any polynomial times a polynomial this way, as long as we kind of keep track of all the things we need to multiply. I'm going to show you a simple way to do it that will work for any product of polynomials. This is called a Punnett square. You're familiar with Punnett squares from biology. I'm going to show you how we can use them to help us organize our thoughts. So what we're going to do is it doesn't really matter which order you go in, because with products, order doesn't matter. But I'm going to take the first term and I'm going to set it up. I've got x, and I've got positive 5, so x plus 5. And here I have an x and I have positive 7. And now I'm going to just multiply the row and the column headers to figure out what goes in the box. So right here, it'll be whatever x times x is, and that happens to be x squared. 7 times x is 7x. X times 5 is 5x. 7 times 5 is 35. Now that I have my Punnett square all filled out, I'm just going to combine my like terms and write my polynomial result. So what's the same here? Oh, look at that. I've got two x terms. Those are the only terms I can combine. So my answer is going to be x squared plus 12x plus 35. Try another one. Oh, this looks exciting. Got 3x plus 2, so I'll write that like that. 3x, and then I'll just plus 2. And here I'll write x, and here I'll put a negative 5. Okay, negative 5. So now I'll figure out what goes in each box by multiplying the row and the column that make it. So 3x times x, remember it's x to the first, is 3x squared. 3x times negative 5 is negative 15x. 2 times x is 2x. And 2 times negative 5 is negative 10. Now, are there any terms here that I can combine? Right here. I can combine those. They're both x terms. So when I write my result, my product, I'll have 3x squared plus negative 15x plus 2x is negative 13x minus 10. You guys want to try this one on your own? Go ahead and try it on your own. Pause me. Come back when you're done. Hopefully, you got x squared. That's 1x. This is 1x. This is 1. So I can combine my x terms. I get x squared plus 2x plus 1. Let's whip through these. Go ahead and set your Punnett square up. I've got x minus 3, x positive 4. And pause me and work this problem. Did you get what I got? Something I want you to start noticing as we're working these is that, look, if I have a positive and a negative down here, I'm always going to get a negative in this spot. I'm going to go back a bit. I had a positive and a positive, so I have a positive in this spot. Here I've got a positive and a negative, and so I've got a negative in this spot. Okay, I want you to recognize that knowing what is in this particular spot will help me figure out whether I've got a negative and a positive, or a positive and a positive, or a negative and a negative. And we're going to use that soon. Let's try this one. Get x squared, 5x, negative 5x. 5 times negative 5 is negative 25. The only way I'm going to ever get a negative here is if I'm multiplying a negative times a positive, or a positive times a negative. Let's combine my like terms. Ooh, this is going to be interesting. I end up with x squared negative 5x plus 5x is 0. So I end up with x squared minus 25. I like that. You're going to notice that you end up with 0 when you combine these terms whenever you have a negative something and positive that same something. You end up with a 0 in the middle. Knowing the patterns are going to be a lot of fun in this unit. Let's try this. I've got 3x minus 1 and 2x plus 7. Work this with me. 6x squared, 21x, negative 2x, negative 7. If I have a negative here, that means I must have a plus and a minus. Do I? Yeah, sure do. And I combine my terms, my like terms. I get 6x squared plus 19x minus 7. Oh, this one is like a binomial times a trinomial. Am I going to freak out? No, I'm not. I've got to change my Punnett square. I have to be able to have 3 columns because there's 3 terms as a trinomial and 2 rows because it's a binomial. So I've got 3x minus 1, 2x squared minus 10x plus 7. Now this one's going to have 3x times 2x squared. This is like 3x to the first. So when I'm multiplying same bases, remember I add the exponents. First I've got to do my coefficients. So 3 times 2 is 6. X to the first times x squared is x cubed. Looking good. So now I've got 3x times negative 10x. Do my coefficients. 3 times negative 10 is negative 30. X times x is x squared. Sorry. I don't know how to turn this off. Okay, then I have 3x times 7, which is 21x. Next row is negative 1 times 2x squared, so that's negative 2x squared. Negative 1 times negative 10x is 10x, and negative 1 times 7 is negative 7. Wow, that looks really complicated, but it's not. We've done a lot in just this short space. We've got to find our like terms. So let's see which terms are like terms. I've got no other x cubes, but I do have 2x squared. And I do have 2x terms. So let's combine those. So I have 6x cubed minus 32x squared plus 31x minus 7. And I'm done. Is that the same one? Looks like that's the same one. All right, cool. You try that one on your own then, I suppose. Pause me and then come back. Sorry about that. All right, let's try this one. I've got 4x minus 2, 3x squared minus x plus 4. Let's multiply the row and column. So this will give me 12x to the third. Remember, this is like minus 1. 4 times negative 1 is negative 4. And x times x is x squared. Negative 4x squared will be 16x. Guys, just hold on. You finish it, okay? You finish it. Stay over. I'm recording a video. Please let me call you back. I'm in the middle. Sorry, guys. Okay, here we go. Somebody wanted to talk with me. 2 times 3 is negative 6. X squared. Negative 2 times negative 1x is 2x. And then negative 8. So let's see what like terms we have. Here are my x squareds right there. Here are my x's. Got 12x cubed minus 10x squared plus 18x minus 8. Oh, this one looks good. I've got 2x squared minus 4x plus 1. Are you getting good at this yet? 5x squared plus 3x minus 2. Here we go. You work it, pause, and then pause me, and then come back. You back? Let's see what that. 10x to the 4th, 6x cubed, negative 4x squared, negative 20x cubed, 12x squared, 8x, 5x squared, 3x, and negative 2. Ooh, got a lot of things I'm going to be able to combine. Let's see what I got. My x, I don't have any other x to the 4th, but I have some x cubes. Where are my x squareds? Oh, there they are. Noticing anything cool looking? Got some x's going on right here. All right, here we go. 10x to the 4th plus, let's see, negative 20x cubed and 6x cubed. Negative 14x cubed plus 5 plus 12 is 17 minus 4 is 13x squared. Is that right? 3 plus 8 is 11 plus 11x plus negative 2. Wow, we're smart. Look at what we figured out. That was great. Okay, I want you to try this one on your own, 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 and come back when you're done with those. We'll learn about factoring. Okay. Now we're going to talk about factoring, which means we're going to take a trinomial and we're going to try to break it apart into its two binomials that created it. So there's some things that we kind of know already. One thing I know for sure, because we've kind of noticed this pattern, is that where do you think this x squared is going to go? Here, right here. I'm going to have an x squared. And I know that this 3 is going to kind of go here. So what two things multiply together to give me x squared? You're right. It's going to be an x here. There's going to be an x here. Now I have to look at this number 3, and I have to figure out there are some different possibilities. It's positive 3. So what two numbers multiplied together give me positive 3? I could have a 1 and a 3. But I could also have a negative 1 and a negative 3. I've got to figure out whether I'm talking about x plus 1 and x plus 3, or whether I'm talking about x minus 1 times x minus 3. Well, there's a clue that I get by looking at this middle term right here, this positive 4. Because the two numbers have to multiply together to give me 3, but they have to add together to give me positive 4. They have to multiply together to give me 3, but I have to add them together, and that has to give me 4. Some people call this the A and M method, the A and M method, because I've got to add to get 4 and multiply to get 3. That might help you. Okay. So let's see, 1 plus 3, that gives me 4. And negative 1 plus negative 3 gives me negative 4, so it can't be that one. got to be this one. Let's try it. So that means I'll have one of these will be plus 1, and one of these will be plus 3. Let's see if that works. X times 3 is 3x. X times 1 is 1x. Let's make sure that that gives me what I started with. X squared plus 4x plus 3. Ooh, good. That's what I started with. So my factors are going to be x plus 3 and x plus 1. Let's try another one. I'm going to factor this polynomial, and I'm doing the A&M method. I know x squared is going to go here, and I know 10 is going to go here. And I'm looking for two numbers that when I add them together gives me 7, but when I multiply them together gives me 10. So we've got to look at what we're multiplying first. So if I have, let's say I'm talking about 10. What two numbers multiply together give me 10? Let's say I have 1 and 10. That's one choice. I have 2 and 5. That's another choice. I also have negative 1 and negative 10, and a negative 2 and negative 5. All right. So they need to add to give me a positive 7. So I know it's not going to be these, because that's going to give me negative 11, and that's going to give me negative 7. So if I add these together, I get 11. Yeah, that's no dice. If I add these together, I get 7. Yay, that's what I'm looking for. That tells me that the last terms of those binomials are going to be 2 and 5. So I'll have a 2. So this is an x, this is an x, and this will be a 2, and that'll be a positive 5. So this is 5x, this will be 2x. I can look at that, and I can see that when I combine my like terms, I end up with x squared plus 7x plus 10. So my two factors are x plus 5 and x plus 2. These two things multiply to give me 10, but add to give me 7. Let's factor this polynomial. I know that my x squared will go here, and I know that my 6 will go here. And I'm looking for two numbers that multiply together to give me 6, but that I add together to give me negative 5. So let's talk about 6 first. Two numbers that multiply together to give me 6. I've got 1 and 6, 2 and 3, and then 3 and 2. So they're already there. And 6 and 1, those are already there. Okay, so now let's try the negatives, because I could also have a negative times a negative. So I have negative 1 and negative 6, and negative 2 and negative 3. So I'm looking for one of those pairs. They'll add together to give me negative 5. Not that one. Not that one. So negative 1 plus negative 6. That's going to give me negative 7. Oh, that doesn't work. Negative 2 plus negative 3 is negative 5. I found it. Found it. Wake you up. So those are going to be the two last terms here. So this is x, and this is x, and one of these will be negative 2, and one of these will be negative 3. So I end up with negative 3x, negative 2x. When I add these together, it does give me negative 5. So my two factors are these binomials. I end up with x minus 3 times x minus 2. When I multiply those two together, I get the product, which is x squared minus 5x plus 6. Okay, let's factor this polynomial. X squared is here, a 6 is here. I'm looking for, there'll be an x here, there'll be an x here. Looking for two numbers that multiply together to give me 6. I add them to give me negative 7. Okay. So my choices are 1 and 6, 2 and 3, negative 1 and negative 6, and negative 2 and negative 3. Hopefully by now you're recognizing that if this is positive and this is negative, that pretty much going to have two negative numbers. as the last terms of my binomials because there's no way it could be positive. So this can't ever give me negative 7. This can't ever give me negative 7. And I add those together. Oh, I get negative 7. Bam, I found it. Okay? So this will be minus 1, minus 6. I end up with negative 6x, and I end up with negative 1x. And sure enough, when I combine like terms, I get what I started with. So my factors of this trinomial are x minus 6 and x minus 1. Let's try this one. I'm going to have an x squared here. So I'll have an x and I'll have an x. Oh, and then I'll have a negative 8 here. Now it's getting interesting. I need two numbers that multiply together to give me negative 8, but when I add them, it gives me positive 2. Okay, so I'm going to break negative 8 down into its factors, and I'll have I'll have negative 1 times 8. Let's start from the beginning, actually. Let's start from positive. So I'll have 1 and negative 8. I'll have 2 and negative 4. I'll have 4 and negative 2. Those are different. And I'll have 8 and negative 1. Is that everything? That's it. Those are my only options. Okay, so I've got to add these two together and see if they make 2. Well, no. 2 plus negative 4. Let's see, that gives me, negative 2. That's not right. 4 plus negative 2. Yeah, that's what I want. So I'm going to make this 4, and this one negative 2. It doesn't matter which is which. This will be negative 2x, and this will be 4x. And I do know that when I combine them together, it does give me positive 2. So my factors are going to be x minus 2 times x plus 4. Sound like puzzle or detective work here. All right, let's factor this polynomial. Looking for two numbers that multiply together to give me negative 8, but add to give me negative 2. Try this one on your own. Okay? Did you get what I got? I knew that because this was a negative number, that one of these was going to be positive and one of them was going to be negative. Didn't know which was going to be which. That's why I kind of had to test it out and see. Okay. Ooh. That's it. That's what we covered in class. Go ahead and check out 7.7 and 8.2 in your book. I think they'll make a lot of sense to you. And I'll see you in class. I hope this was helpful.